Northville, Michigan. How much does it cost to live in the city of Northville or even the township of Northville? Well, it actually depends on where you live in Northville. Some parts of Northville are actually way more expensive than others. There's actually 4 different tax areas in Northville. Owning a house in one of those could save you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on your taxes every year. If that doesn't make any sense, it will when we're done. In this video, we're talking about everything from tomatoes to taxes, and we're starting now. If you're new here and new to me, my name is Paul and I'm a Metro Detroit real estate agent who happens to make videos about all sorts of cities around Metro Detroit, Michigan. So if you like what you see, consider subscribing and hit the little like thing because if I haven't made a video about a city that you're interested in, there's a good chance I will. And I do take requests, so if you have any requests, send them my way, drop it in the comments below. And if you want to buy or sell a house anywhere in Metro Detroit, Michigan, reach out. My contact information is all below. It's pretty easy to get a hold of me on the socials or whatever. I've helped hundreds of people buy and sell homes all over Metro Detroit, and there's a good chance I can help you too. So let's get into this. Northville, Michigan, starting with groceries. You know, I had to throw in the tomatoes. We're going tomatoes to taxes, right? So on a scale of 100, if 100 is the baseline of what everyone is in the US, Northville is about a 101, so it's just a little bit more expensive to buy groceries than other cities in the US. I know that some people say that it's way more expensive, but that's not true. I worked at Bush's Marketplace for years right by Northville, and things were a little more expensive if you bought the fancy stuff. I see you're reaching for that fancy ramen. Just stick with the cheap ramen, things like that. So if the USA is 100 on average, Michigan is about 93 and Northville is a little bit more, it's 101. Like I said, so it's not crazy expensive, but it is more expensive than some other areas. Next, we talk about the healthcare. So as a general rule, Michigan is less expensive than the rest of the United States for healthcare. So we're at about an 86, but Northville is even less expensive. So Northville is about an 81.4. The cheapest family health care plan that I could find is $800 a month for a full family health plan. If we compare that to areas like Jackson or Midland, Michigan, or even Kalamazoo, the cheapest plans there are over $1,000 a month. So, you know, save a little money on the healthcare. So utilities were right about average, so everyone pays just about the same amount for utilities in Northville. You've got 100, Northville's at about 99.4, so not crazy far off. So transportation is one of those things where it's a little more expensive in Northville, but it's a little more expensive in Michigan because we don't have a lot of public transit. So if you go to Chicago or other big cities and you have a lot of public transportation, we don't really have that here. With Motor City, right? So we've got a lot of cars, you're gonna pay your car payment and your insurance and everything. So transportation, a little more expensive in Northville, but it's a little more expensive in Michigan. So if you're moving here, just get used to it. You can drive yourself around, take an Uber. Ubers or Lyfts, is that the other one? Ubers and Lyfts. Now we'll talk about the housing. Housing is where Northville gets pricey. The houses in Northville are about 2.8 times more expensive than the average homes in Michigan. So again, we're looking at 100, right? Michigan is at about a 66, so it's usually cheaper to live in Michigan than the rest of the country, but not in Northville. We're at 183.7. That's crazy. That's way more expensive than the rest of the country. So the average home cost in Michigan is about $151,000, but the average home cost in Northville is $424,000. That's an expensive house. But this is where it gets a little tricky because there are, like I said at the beginning of this video, 4 different areas for taxes in Northville, and you've got 2 different school districts. So you need to know where to look depending on what you want to spend. Because as someone pointed out to me a while back, even if you pay for your home cash, we all know this, you still have to pay your taxes. You don't want to go to jail for tax evasion. That's not cool. Nobody wants that. No, you don't want that. So if you live in Northville, in Wayne County, Northville, because remember, Northville is in both Wayne and Oakland County, that is the most expensive zone of Northville. If you have a house that's a $200,000 taxable value, you will pay $8,610 a year in taxes. So that is the most expensive area of Northville. Next on the list would be Oakland County, Northville. So it's the area of Northville that's in Oakland County. For that same house, you'll pay $7,892 in taxes every year. So now if you're in Northville Township, you'll be paying $7,196. So it's cheaper, right? So instead of paying $8,610 a year, you're paying $7,196 just because you're in the township. And then for the least expensive area of Northville is going to be Northville Township, but with Plymouth Canton schools. So Plymouth Canton also has an excellent school district, but if you buy a house in Northville Township with Plymouth Canton schools, you will save a butt ton of money. Your taxes will be on that same house $7,094. That's a pretty big savings, right? If you look at all of these sections that we just talked about, Northville on average is about 29% more expensive than the rest of the country, and about 30 or 40% more expensive than Michigan as a whole. So it is an expensive place to live, but it's so nice. I made a whole video about how great I think Northville is. You should check it out. It's around here somewhere. So what do you think? Is Northville the city for you? If not, you should take a look at some of the other cities in Oakland County or other areas in Michigan. And if you'd like to buy in any of those cities, reach out. Let me know. I would love to help. Until next time, I'll see you then.